Alright, let's take a look at starting up our Revit project. We got through the first couple steps here in Activity 231, Utility Shed Design, which I've emailed to you. Remember, here are the requirements in the end that you are going to be graded on to make sure they're in your project. And then here's what I'll be collecting. The deliverable is a B-size drawing, and we'll talk about how to get that drawing done. Remember, the instructions are step by step. We're going to go through steps 1 through 5 here. There already is a video for step 6 and on. So first thing we're going to do is create this shed and rename some elevations. When we start in Revit, we're going to do an architectural template. And some of the first things that come up are going to include the workspace and your property browser and your project browser. Properties and project browser. And I lost it. Where is it here? There we go. Properties and project browser. We're going to try and draw within this space. So click left click on the rename, change level 1 to floor and level 2 to roof. So we can start that off here. Here's level 1. Click on that, rename, and level 1 will become floor. Enter. Always hit yes. Level 2. Right click. Rename. Roof. Okay. Yes. Notice right here it says ceiling plans. Hit the negative sign right there to close that up. We don't want to be working on the ceilings. We want to work on the floor plans. Alright. So that's through step 3. It should look like this right here. Okay. Drawing exterior walls. Sketching walls. The project browser under the floor plan. Double click on the floor level. The default floor plan elevation is 0 feet 0 inches. So we're starting at the ground. Under the Home tab, we'll select Wall, which will be right here, and the cursor will change from an arrow to a plus sign. This indicates we're ready for input. So we'll talk about several ways to do this. Method 1, individual walls. So here we are on the workspace, wall. My cursor is now a plus. Let's see what it says. Select Unchain. Click once at the beginning point of the wall and once at the end point of the wall. We can continue creating them in that manner. So turn that chain off, and we can now draw a wall, and our mouse is free to draw another wall somewhere else. Remember, we can always lock on using the wheel. We can zoom in, then we can lock on to an endpoint so the walls become connected. You can see it makes a right turn or a right angle right there. Alright, so that's one method of creating walls. If I hold my left mouse button down and drag a box around these, I can then use my keyboard to hit delete and get rid of them. Alright, the next thing it's asking us to do is let's see, a rectangle tool. This is something we're going to use quite often, as the rectangle tool. We can come in here, wall, switch from line, which you were in, to rectangle. I click once, drag, click again. Now I've got 4 walls. A lot of times we'll be working with 4 walls as our kind of basis for drawing a house or a shed or something. Again, if I hit escape, I usually have my left thumb on the escape key. Hit escape a couple times, I'm out of the tool, I can select and delete. Alright, let's go back here. Next one is chaining walls. We can select the wall tool, and we can make sure chain is on, and we can then draw the walls individually. So, wall, chain right here, and I can draw one. And notice when I click once, my cursor is still attached to that endpoint of that wall. If I'm careful, I see a dotted line, and I notice 90 degrees to the right there. I know this wall is 90 degrees from the last one. Same thing, I want it to end at the same place. I get that dotted line, and then if I zoom in right there, you can see I'm ending on the endpoint, and it makes a perfect connection of 4 walls there. All these methods are acceptable. You'll have to find which method you think is fastest and works best for you. Alright, so let's see here. Changing dimensions of the wall. In this case, this worked the way I did it. That's fine. I could also, hit escape a couple times, draw a box around those, hit delete. In this case, wall, rectangle, my preferred method of doing this. Alright, so now we've got a rectangle, 4 walls, 2 dimensions right there. And we need to change those dimensions. Be sure to exit any active tool. We'll do that in a second with the escape key. Or I can right click and cancel. To enforce a dimension, we need to keep the dimension. Select the wall perpendicular to the one you want to dimension. A blue temporary dimension will appear. Only blue dimensions can be edited. Make sure you remember that right here. Blue square grips are positioned on the extension lines. These are extension lines right here. And we can toggle those back and forth. We want to make sure that we're dimensioning to the outside surface of a wall. So we'll make sure we do that. We want the shed to be 12 by 16. These are temporary dimensions which only appear when a wall is selected. Permanent dimensions are always visible. Temporary dimensions can be converted to permanent dimensions by clicking on the small icon near the temporary dimension line. In addition, permanent dimensions can be placed using dimensioning tools. Dimensioning tools are found on the Annotate tab. We'll worry about that a little bit later. We're going to add permanent dimensions in both directions. So, that being said, what's going on here? Notice my cursor is still a plus with the rectangle tool. I'm going to hit escape a couple times. And then I'm going to click on this wall. This one now allows it to be dimensioned. I'm going to zoom in with the wheel, hit the blue grip, it goes inside, outside, inside, outside. This number is a 12. I do not need to hit the foot mark, which is right here. I can, but feet is the default measurement in Revit, so 12 enter. Now, next one I want to hit escape a couple times with my thumb. Click on this wall, I can now dimension this guy. Inside, outside, inside, outside. Also, when I click on this dimension right here, I don't need to highlight the number. If I click one time, it's already highlighted. I can just type right over it and make that a 16. Alright, hit escape a couple times. So now these walls are the correct size. Let's take a look at how they want it to look. They want the bottom to be dimensioned and then the right side. So let's try and copy that. If I hit this one, hit this one, I'm going to bounce those to the outside and watch what happens. It should be exactly 12 automatically. I can hit the icon there to make it permanent, 12 feet. Hit escape a couple times. This now needs to be moved away so it's not overlapping. That's an appropriate distance right there. Click on this wall, 15'4". If I click on the inside and outside, you'll notice it automatically becomes 16 because it's been dimensioned correctly. Hit that button to make it permanent, and now drag it away so it's not overlapping. And that's an appropriate drawing. That's what you should have right now. Alright. So that was step 6 we just finished up. Remember, pause this at any time to catch up or see what you need to do. Step 4, elevation views. Under the elevation views in the project browser, click on any elevation, north, south, east, or west, to see the elevation view. Now, elevation view is when you walk up to a building in real life and you see the height of it by looking at it from where you're standing. We want to see how tall our building is. Click on the wall in the elevation view and notice the wall is 20 feet tall. It's going to show you basically the elevation levels you've set up and how big your wall is compared to that. We're going to modify the wall height later in the tutorial, but notice the floor level and the roof level appear in the elevation views. The level elevations can be edited in the elevation view by selecting the elevation value and editing the value. So it's kind of cool. If we want the floor to be at 1 foot, we change it and the elevation moves. So we want to move our roof elevation to 8 feet. So let's take a look at that. So here we are again. Zoom out a little bit. We've got our 4 walls of our shed. Come down here on the right side, left side. I'm going to do my south elevation. So now we can see, walking up to the south wall, that our roof level is at 10 feet and our floor is at 0. Our wall is significantly taller, and we can guess by looking at it that it's 10 feet taller than the roof level. I'm going to change that by double-clicking, on the number, highlight the whole thing, and type in an 8, and that drops it down to 8 feet. So that's correct. Alright. So step 3 is now done. That happened right here. Okay, view cube and steering wheel. Choose the view tab, select the 3D view. And the view cube allows you to kind of move around and steer through and check out what your project looks like. So let's take a look at that real quick. So I'm going to go to my, let's go back to our view, 3D view. So view tab, I'm in the create palette, I'm in the 3D view, and here's my cube. If I grab a portion of that, I can kind of rotate it around and look at it from different sides. We're looking at it in a traditional isometric view, right there. I can also grab the steering wheel, and I can bring it out here, and if I hold on to that button, I can zoom. It's a little choppy here. I can also pan, move left, move right, and a couple other things. I don't use that too much. A lot of times I use my 3D view just to see something, but I always work in my elevation or my floor plan views. So there's a really tall wall in our shed right now, so we're going to have to fix that in a second. So you can experiment using that cube and the steering wheel. They're useful for some people. It's up to you. Alright, changing wall height. When creating walls in Revit, the wall height will automatically be 20 feet tall. The wall height can be modified to the desired height using any of the several methods below. So let's take a look at what those